Hi, my name's Phil. I'd like to talk about politics, and in this video I'd like to discuss Labour's plans to bypass consultants when it comes to referrals for medical tests. This idea was put forward ahead of the election, so there's no great surprise that it's coming up again. And there is a sense in which this is a really bad idea, and it's understandable why healthcare experts are rolling their eyes at the policy. But I'd also like to introduce a little bit of context, which might mean that, especially due to the inherent sexism within the NHS, a measure like this is probably better than nothing. But first, for daily political commentary, please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out. So this might seem an odd one, because I'm going to have a bit of a pop at the NHS, but this isn't about people working in the NHS, to be clear. It might seem like that. The issue I'm going to highlight is so widespread that it's basically systemic. You can't blame it on individual people or on professional behaviour because it's throughout the NHS. So, reports suggest that Keir Starmer is going to announce next week a big shake-up of NHS policy designed to massively cut down waiting times. Patients will be able to get direct referrals to a whole host of tests, including for gynecology and urology, without having to see a consultant first. Now, this sounds mad, doesn't it? Certainly it's controversial. Medical experts have said that there's just not enough staff to manage this. And you can also see, without even being a doctor, how bypassing consultants will mean patients will go, oh, I've got these symptoms, it must be this thing, I want that test now, please, thank you very much. Whereas a consultant can go, actually, no, these symptoms don't point to that, they point to this other thing instead, maybe you should go and see them. So the entire policy sounds like a disaster area, doesn't it? However, I am going to say one thing in its favour. I've known a number of girls and young women in particular, both just in my personal life, but also as a teacher, who've had a torrid time getting the NHS to take them seriously for conditions which are debilitating, actually ruin their lives sometimes. Now, I don't know whether doctors just think they're struggling to come to terms with like menstruation or something, but young women can get knocked back all the time in the NHS. And I'm not talking about male doctors either. Female doctors are doing it. And I know someone now who has an obviously debilitating issue. It's risking their ability to complete their degree programme because they're out of action for days at a time with severe pain. They've had the issue for years. And it's the same process. They go to the GP when there's a flare-up, get referred, consult, oh yeah, you need this test, go for the test. And half the time, and I kid you not, half the time, they go along to have this procedure done. And the doctor who's supposed to be carrying it out sends them away. Because, oh, you don't need that, ridiculous. Why have you been referred to that? Don't be stupid, go away, you silly little girl. And the other half of the time, they carry out the test, it's negative, so you think, well, okay, so it's not that, right? So have a think about what it could be, right? We'll get you in for this test next. No, they discharge her as if the issue has been cured. And I've known this happen for so many young women, so many in my life. And not only have I known loads of young ladies facing this brick wall in the NHS, if Parliamentary Group a few years ago raised the fact that women spend years getting a diagnosis for issues that are specific to women. Like, I contrast that with my own recent experience, which I've discussed before. I went to A&E with basically a headache I'd had for a few days this summer. It was treated seriously. I was given a range of tests, including one for something that is incredibly rare for someone my age. Like, a doctor could easily have just gone, oh, you're too young for that, we won't bother testing for that. But no, they did. And that test came back positive for temporal arteritis. I was given immediate treatment. The issue is now dealt with. My wife says it's because I have a penis. Mind you, I did have to point out that the doctors wouldn't have known that. Because of all the many tests they carried out on me, that was not one of them, right? But the point is that you have an issue which affects men as well as women. The NHS can be absolutely brilliant. Unless, of course, you get stuck needing treatment for something for which there's a long waiting list. But that is just a staffing issue, right? That's a resources issue, not an issue as such with the systems in the NHS. But your issue will be taken seriously. But if you have something which mostly or exclusively affects women, and especially young women, it's like going to a quack. They might as well prescribe leeches. And as I say, because a lot of the doctors failing to take these issues seriously are women doctors, it's not as simple as just saying that this issue is down to misogynism. It's not deliberate. it'll be because there's a lack of understanding and training. Couldn't be any other way. And so we come back to this policy of Labour's, and I can well see how, yes, it could just mean more demand for tests because you've got people being referred for them without an expert consultant who would know that in some cases there is absolutely no point. I guarantee it is definitely not this thing. And I completely accept the fact that because these tests are carried out by people and NHS staffing shortages are a problem, that this sounds like a terrible policy that's actually just going to increase the size of the queues, so the people who do need those tests are going to struggle to get them. I totally get that. But with my own second-hand experience, I would argue this. Or I would ask a question, first of all. How much time, how much NHS staff time is wasted when they keep cancelling tests for young women because they just think they're making a fuss about, PMT or something? I don't know. How much time is wasted when you have this constant cycle of flare up? Oh, have to go to the GP. GP refers you to consultant. Consultant says, oh, there's this thing. Maybe we send you for this test. They may or may not do the test. But whatever they do, if they haven't found the issue, then they just discharge you and then you're stuck. And it's rinse and repeat for literally years because the system doesn't prioritise actually identifying and treating a problem. It just prioritises getting patients off the waiting list for a few weeks. At least this way, people who are able to work out what their symptoms might mean from some research on the internet may be able to work out what tests could confirm or deny it and get a quicker referral for that. So although on the face of it, I think this is a policy that no government should take seriously, and I think I said so the first time it was floated, I am going to say maybe this policy would actually be more efficient than the current system of just not taking young women in particular with debilitating illnesses, life-wrecking illnesses, seriously. Because there's every chance that the current system actually wastes even more time than just letting patients get non-expert referrals. And that is a consequence of failing to properly manage the NHS to make sure that it prioritises diagnosis and treatment. You should not be discharging people unless you are sure there's nothing wrong or it's dealt with. You shouldn't be working on the assumption that everyone is a hypochondriac. So this idea of Labour's may not work in the way they think it will. But it's not like the current system's working either. At least this way, those young women who are currently running into brick walls all the time have a chance of getting a diagnosis now without having to go private, because those with the money to do so have been doing that for years now because the NHS has been failing them very badly for a very long time. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. If you've enjoyed the video, please click the like button and subscribe for further content. If you'd like to support the channel further, you can click the join button for memberships. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later.